Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
All right, guys, today we have another session of the Transform Sales Podcast Self-Software Review. We have a special guest today. This was a very special recording today. So we have Chaz in the house, Chief Operation Officer of CallTools. How's it going?
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Dave. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. Guys, today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, which is obviously the tool is called CallTools, but the topic is the trusted dollar to scale your call center and increase connection rates. So before we get started, I do want to ask you a quick question. Give us a little bit of background. How did it all started? What are you currently doing right now to make this tool the best in the market? And we can take it from there.
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. Yeah, I can't take credit for where it all got started, but our core dev team has been working on our platform. I think it's been over 20 years, so they've been working on different telephony platforms, VoIP platforms, different iterations of the software. And our latest version, I think it came out in the end of 2019, so early 2020. So it's been in production for about 4 years now. And it really has been a culmination of all that experience through the years and heavily influenced by our customer feedback. Where I can take a little bit of, credit for the platform is I was a customer of CallTools for about 4 years in the solar industry. And what always amazed me about the company and the platform was that they took the feature requests very seriously, So any little thing I thought that could help us or that, we needed to get done, the team here at CallTools did an incredible job of implementing it. And we're constantly developing the platform. We're constantly adding new features to enhance, the usability and the scaling of our platform. And one of our newer ones is our dynamic scripting, which I'll show a little bit later on.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned one thing that I think is very important is when a company takes the feature request very seriously, it gives you some sort of commitment, right? And obviously you feel like you're being heard. You feel that it makes you want to stay longer using those tools, right? But one of the things that I also wanted to mention is I came from a call center, right? I know what that environment kind of feels like. And I know at that moment, there wasn't too much of the AI, too much technology enhancements at that moment, right? That was, I'll say, 8 years ago. But quick question before we get started. What is something that you think has changed, that have made a drastic change in the market in the past 10 years when it comes to tools that are used for call centers?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's a long period in technology, that even a couple months time makes a lot of changes. So 10 years, I mean, it's a large window. I think technology like CallTools is centralizing, ease of access. So it's all web-based, our platform. You can log in anywhere in the world with internet access with a headset just like the one you're wearing right here, and you're able to make and take phone calls, right? We have a CRM built into our platform, so your data management is greatly, enhanced. You can update records, keep track of where they are in their life cycle, previous call dispositions, total call counts, things of that nature. And then when it comes to our power and predictive dialer, it's going to dial behind the scenes, and it's going to only connect to live people who are on the phone and ready to speak with you. So when, rather than having an agent sitting there picking up the phone and calling manually, it's going to connect them only to phone calls where people are already present, and they're going to have a lot more conversations in a day. So there's a lot of advancements, I think, in the technology in the industry, but we're trying our best to stay in front of it. Also, integration is a big one as well, where, as you're taking and making phone calls, we're able to update those records in the CRM or the platform that your company may be using. So really just keeping the data intact and accurate and making it easy for you to make and take phone calls.
Awesome. And in top of mind, what are the top 3 companies that have benefited the most using your tool, like in terms of their industry?
Oh, okay. Industry-wise, yeah. I mean, we work with a wide array of different industries. The ones that jump out that come to mind are home services. We do a lot in like the medical industry, ACA, insurance, mortgage, solar is a big one, real estate, Really any team that is doing, outbound dialing, B2B, we have a lot of B2B companies, software companies, sales organizations, anyone who do outreach to their, prospects or to their customer base really benefits with our platform. But yeah, those are some of the bigger ones. We have a lot of inbound companies as well that are doing like some sort of customer service that are taking inbound calls. So I know you asked for the top three. I gave you a bunch.
No, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's valuable. But for those companies, what were some alternatives that they were using before that they decided to, get married with CallTools? What is one of them that stands out?
Sure. Yeah. So there's other dialer platforms out there. I know it's easy for me to say here, wearing the CallTools shirt, but I did mention in a previous life, I got to run a call center. I had about 300 agents. And I got to play with all the different dialer platforms out there. Nothing really came close to this platform. Like I said, it's easy for me to say now, but I think I bring a unique lens to the topic just because I was a customer of numerous different tools. And a lot of our customers, are manually dialing, right? They may have never used a dialing platform like ours. And when they come to our system, if you're manually calling, they'll see an increase in their contacts with live people. I think it's at 500%. So it's really a huge lift. And companies, immediately see the impact of using a software like ours.
No, 100%. And one thing that I like about, for example, your background, right, is that you're a good buyer. Right? You try different tools. And sometimes the best buyers are those that are taking the time to educate prospects, getting them fully involved in what the tool can actually do for them to benefit, right? So I think you as a leader in CallTools plays an essential piece as well, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, again, that's why, I think I can resonate with a lot of our clients as well. And I do still get on some customer facing calls and work with some incredible companies that are, using our platform. But that's what I bring to the table, right? Is that I've used the platform. I've solved, business, I don't want to say problems, but I've created efficiencies within businesses using this tool. And I think it allows me to kind of look at it a little bit differently than others. So.
No, 100%. And what were some of the challenges your customers were running into with those alternatives that your software kind of helped them overcome?
Sure. Yeah. So I think some of the big ones we hear are our data management. So other platforms will allow you to kind of upload your list or upload your customer file, and you'll attach that file, and then you'll begin calling it and dialing it. Our platform has more of a dynamic approach. So you can essentially create your database of your contacts. We have a built-in CRM. And then you could filter those contacts in real time. So you could say, you know what? I want to focus on just people in the state of California in these 20 zip codes that have less than 5 dials, right? So you can get super granular in terms of what data that you're targeting to call. You can also set your redial rules. So you could say, okay, if this person picks up and they disposition as callback, set them up for an automatic, callback in 2 weeks, right? If they answer the call and I, leave them a voicemail, put them back in 4 hours. So you're automating your follow-up. You're keeping your data super clean. We also have the ability to rotate phone numbers as the system is dialing, so that you can either show a local caller ID to the region that you're dialing to, or you could, continuously change that number as you're dialing out. And that helps mitigate, there's no way you could stop your phone numbers from showing up as spam or scam, but by rotating your numbers, you're mitigating that. You're getting that local presence approach, so people are more likely to recognize an area code that they're familiar with and pick up the phone. And then if those numbers do happen to get a reputation or they show up on the phone as scam or spam likely, odds are the next time you call, it'll be a different phone number. So the caller ID management we have is next to none. Our data management is incredible. Our reporting is super incredible as well. So I think I will demo the system in a minute, but we show, in real time, you're going to see, how many calls your agents have made, both inbound and outbound, how long they're spending in each status during their shift, your real-time conversion rate, your real-time connection rates, and all the things you need to look at to know where you need to make adjustments for the most optimal success using our platform.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. One of the things that I experienced as a challenge when I used to be at a call center was the quality of the calls. So what is something that you're doing different to make sure that these calls are high quality? Your reps are fully equipped to make sure that whoever's in the other side is able to hear the conversation as fluent as possible.
Sure. That's actually one thing we get praised on, consistently is our call quality. So we do have teams that are dialing all around the world: Pakistan, Philippines, Egypt, Colombia, Mexico, you name it. There's people all around the world using CallTools. And some of them may not have the best internet connection. So this is where it gets a little bit above my head in terms of how it all works. But the way I understand it is we have an audio codec that will fluctuate and change during the phone call based on the connectivity, based on the latency or the internet connection, to maintain the highest quality of voice, the highest call quality. So it's not something I've ever heard. I've been with the company officially for about 3 years or so. I was a customer for a lot longer than that previously. One thing that I've never heard as even a topic is that there's call. The only time I hear about call quality is to hear that it's amazing. So we take a lot of pride in that.
Awesome. Yeah, the reason why I mentioned it is because that costs us a lot of opportunities, right? We had a lot of very cool features, but when us getting on the call, which is the most important piece, we will miss those opportunities, whether it's upselling, cross-selling, or just even getting the client through it.
I mean, you get on a phone call and you hear that doop doop, that little water drop noise, or you hear it's all chopped.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the call's already lost before you even get started.
No, absolutely. And I remember one time I had a very high qualified candidate prospect, right? And I lost the opportunity just because of the call, and I couldn't get the person back in the call again, right? I try to follow up, I try to do multiple things, but the call determined the success for that situation, right? I missed it. So having a tool like yours where, that's not an issue or that's never been a topic, that positions you in a very good moment in the market, right? So cool. So let's get to the most requested part of the podcast, which is you showing us a brief demo. I will go ahead and share my screen. So yeah, the key features of your software that helped overcome the use case challenges you just mentioned.
Sure. Let's jump in. So I'm gonna log into the CallTools platform. Yeah, I'm gonna go pretty quick here, but I'm gonna try and cover as much as I can in the short time that we have here together. When you log into the system as an agent into our platform, you really only have one focus, and that is to join an outbound campaign or join an inbound queue or both, right? So you can be just an outbound agent that's connected to outbound calls. You could be just an inbound agent, or you could be a hybrid where you're taking out inbound phone calls and you're making outbound phone calls, right? So in this case, you would log in. You could see the campaigns that you're eligible to join for outbound or the queues that you're eligible to receive inbound calls from. Yeah. When I join a campaign, you'll notice a few things change on my screen. There's no active leads in here, so the system won't actually be dialing. Let me pardon me for one moment. I'm just going to close out my platform here. There we go. Sorry about that. So essentially, when you log in, you'll join your campaign, you'll change your status, and the status is super important because you'll be able to report against how long each agent spends in each status throughout their shift. Something you used to watch when I ran a large call center was we had this status here called post call, or some systems call it wrap up, where after every phone transaction, you'll take notes, you'll be updating your record. Before you take your call disposition, you're in the status of post call. So what we used to notice, right, in managing a large team, hey, Mary, we noticed you had an 8-hour shift yesterday. You were available for, 2 hours. You were on the phone for 2 hours, but, for 3 hours here, it looks like you were in post call. What was going on? And the agents will go, what? You could tell that? Yeah. So just, not a big deal, but just make sure you're going available and you're connecting to calls throughout your shift as much as possible, right? So this is one example of some of the transparency that the statuses give you. We also have the ability to have a web phone here, so you can manually dial any phone number. Everything I'm showing is a fully privileged account. You can control, different roles and permissions for your agents. So if you don't want them manually dial, you don't want them to see certain data or certain menus, you can control that all on the back end. So I'll go ahead and pull myself real quick. And you'll notice that I'm Mickey Mouse. My status went on a call. You can see my web phone turned over, and you can now see that.
I want to hear a good pitch.
I'll throw it on mute real quick so it doesn't chirp everybody's ear right now. And now we're on a lot of phone calls, right? So when you're on a live call, you have the option to mute or unmute yourself. I could put the call on hold and pick it back up, or I could transfer either to an internal destination. This can be a queue, a ring group, an external phone number. So you can even forward a transfer to a cell phone or a desk line if you're using another platform or a cell phone. And we do support warm and cold transfers. In the middle, you'll notice we have our contact card, Mickey Mouse here, which works with Microsoft apparently, in Orlando, Florida. And you can customize these fields, right? So you can customize your database, you can customize your fields, you can customize your layout. So I just had an example here of an appointment date and appointment time. And you can highlight. So if you want to draw your agent's attention to a certain field, to a certain section within your contact card, you could do that with the highlighting.
Okay.
At the bottom left over here, we have what are called connector buttons. And in clicking these, it'll actually pull data from the contact card into a new tab. So I think I'm sharing by tab. So this may not work when I click on this, but let me go ahead and try and click on one here. Are you able to see this new tab that opened? I don't think so.
No.
Let me go share this tab. Here we go. So this is an example of a Google form. I click the button, and now it will pre-populate with Mickey Mouse and some information here on that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If I go to Google Maps, right, which is another example, I'll share
Let me ask something fast for a second. So, for example, I remember back then I was working for Fitbit, right? So there was a moment where we had hot issues, right? And I know some hot issues required to be addressed by an SME, right? And we had to do a different documentation because we had to make sure we were running the recall process, right? We had to reach back to those customers. A lot of them were having the best experience with those trackers. They were overheating. So in this case, that's where the form comes in, where you can submit that information.
Sure. Yeah. If you have any third-party form, you could pre-populate that info, and then maybe you have some extra fields that are relevant to your industry or your business that your agent will manually complete. But we can fill out the bulk of the fields that you already have in CallTools, so you're not sitting there copying and pasting back and forth.
No, and the other thing that I noticed is that you're not making a mistake in the information submitted. Imagine putting the wrong customer, that is your customer, into a case of a hot issue. That will make you lose a client.
So it's keeping it consistent, right? So you're not having to do the copy and pasting, and we all know that very creates room. Anytime a human is touching something, there's a room for
100%.
So
yeah,
awesome. Another just quick example here would be Zillow, right? Again, I did put in I think it's Magic Kingdom or Disney address in here, so I could see that on Zillow as another example. And then some of our solar clients like to use something called Project Sunroof, so with a click of a button, you can open that up, right? So whether it's pre-filling a form, opening up a third-party application that takes data, you can also trigger our API off of those buttons as well. However, it does work much better when you set up your API and your integrations off of the call dispositions, because it's one less step for the agent to have to manage, right? So at this point, I'm going to hang up my call. You'll see my status will now be in that post call I was talking about earlier. And this is where I would update my record. Maybe I'll uncheck this checkbox. You can create drop-down values or multiple select values here. I'll save my contact, and then I'll go available again, right? Where I'll be, once I disposition, I'll just say this was an appointment set. The system will automatically put you back into an available status, which is saying, okay, feed me my next inbound call or feed me my next outbound call that's been connected. We do have what's called dynamic scripting. So what will happen is you could set up your script to have different pieces. And as you go through, you can either set up a conditional where it'll say, okay, if it's in the state of Florida, show this script. If it's in, this favorite color of yellow, show this script, right? Or you can set up these different buttons, which will allow you to kind of move through the script. So, hey, am I speaking with Mickey? No. Oh, I'm so sorry. I must have the wrong number then. My apologies to inconvenience you. Have a nice day. Or if you are speaking with Mickey, great. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mickey. I wanted to connect regarding inquiry for a cloud contact center solution on our website. You have a few minutes to connect now? No, that's not a problem. Do you have time later that I can reach out? Or yes. That's awesome. Let's make sure I have the proper information on file for your company. You work for Microsoft? No? Oh, Disney. Oh my gosh, Disney. So as you can see here in the script, I can actually create a field mapping. And when I update this company value, it will actually update the company in the contact card above, right? So that's the basics of a phone call, your standard contact card. I'll continue through the other tabs of the contact card real quick. We do support SMS, so we're able to create a template and we could send and receive text messages. It is manual, so just think of it like your cell phone, or if you receive an inbound text, it will come in. There's no concept of bulk texting or scheduling or automating text. We do support email as well, so you can have an email template in HTML or in text format. This will go out of our system. We will not receive the reply back. So you'll set a reply to address that you manage, and it works extremely well. It'll deliver at a very high rate. With the emails, you can trigger them via automation, which I'll touch on in a minute. Here's your scripting, just a separate tab for that. And you've got your notes section. You can see all of your historical notes on the contact card by date and by user. Calendar events. So if you wanted to schedule a callback, you can come in here, schedule a manual calendar event. This will also go to another section of your agent dashboard where you can stay on top of your leads or prospects or customers and make sure you're calling them back on time. And we have a history. So you're able to see all the different things that happen with this contact over time. Anytime an email is sent, a phone call is sent or received, text message, connected button click, it's all right here in the history on that contact card. I'll just continue real quick through the agent side, and then we'll jump into the back end, Dave, and I'll pause for a minute. I'm sure you have some questions for me.
Sure.
We touched on campaigns and queues. Here's your SMS, where you can come and manage all of your active text message conversations. Contacts, so you can come in here. The contacts that you're eligible to see, which are controlled by the manager or the administrator of your account, you'll be able to see here. You can go and open up the contact. You're able to review it. You can then either manually call it or update that record as well. And you could filter by a number of different, variables and filterable fields in our system. We have our recent call history. So you as an agent would have the ability to come in here, review your previous phone calls, who you spoke with, what the call disposition was. And if your manager allows you to, you'd have the ability to play back and download just your personal call recording. So a lot of our clients like this because it allows agents to self-regulate and monitor themselves. They might forget what they said. Oh, did Dave tell me that the podcast was next Tuesday or Wednesday? And they go back and then review that recording and figure out the proper date.
No, and not even for the data, also for like self-discovery. Like, I could have done this better.
Sure.
I should have positioned this a lot better.
That as well. Yes, they have the ability to self-reflect and see if what they're saying is working or not working. Voicemail. So you can set up an agent voicemail. The agent can have a phone number in our platform that would allow that to come through to them.
Can you use pre-recorded?
We don't do anything with pre-recorded voicemail. We've done that intentionally just due to compliance changes and regulation changes.
Yep.
I know there's those platforms that may offer it, but we've been pretty proactive and just anything that's questionable, we've removed it from the platform. So
no, and it's also good for those candidates to kind of practice, those voicemails and actually make them feel real, right? Sometimes the same way you're speaking and that recording won't match the person you're speaking to, and it just comes off the person just doesn't even want to speak to them, right?
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. So in this case, you'll be able to leave those or receive those, and then that's what happened here. Calendar events. This is where we were looking at the scheduling of a presentation or a callback. You come in here and sort and filter all of your follow-up and your callback. The last screen that you can either enable or disable is our leaderboard. And this one's fun. This is where the agents can come in. They could see who made the most phone calls or earned the most points, which the manager can set what points go to what activity in the system. And as they earn points, they climb up the leaderboard. And a lot of our clients will do contests, bonuses, and all kinds of fun things using this leaderboard. So that's really everything on the agent side of CallTools. From an agent's perspective, it's very simple. They log in, they join their outbound campaign, they join their inbound queue, and they start receiving phone calls or connecting to outbound phone calls. That's it. Very simple, right? So makes the life of the agent extremely easy. I'll pause for a minute. I just saw a question pop up here. Did you have something for me?
Yeah. So based on this, what will be the tasks, deliverables, and people involved in setting up the software for this use case? And how long would it typically take to reach full productivity?
Perfect timing, Dave. So yeah, I was about to jump into the back end. So our turnaround for new clients is very quick. I think it's much quicker than what we hear in the industry. So from the time that we get in, a fully completed order form, we can typically have you access to your account same day, right? So within an hour or so, you'll have access to your fully provisioned and deployed CallTools account. We'll put you on a training within 24 to 48 hours, depending on availability. So in many cases, we'll have a training with one of our support reps next day, where they'll take you through the initial setup of the platform. And after that training, of typically an hour, you should be ready to start making phone calls, right? So the whole thing is we provision the phone numbers for your account. You upload your initial data, set up your database, your call dispositions, a couple key things. And by the end of that phone call, you should be ready to have agents log in and start making phone calls.
So you're saying that in 72 hours, I'll be pretty much set up for me to start?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So in some cases, even faster. But yeah, 72 would be a generous window. But yeah, typically we can have you ready, in some cases, even same day, depending on, how quickly you're looking to move. I think that's something that's really important. CallTools, we really try to give that white glove approach to our clients. We try and match your pace. So if you're looking to spin up a campaign or get the system live quickly, we'll do our best. I can't always promise that, depending on how many customers are coming on. It's been pretty crazy as of recent, but in most cases we can move very quickly for you and get you spun up very, very fast.
Awesome. One of the questions that is super requested from our audience is, when it comes to support channels, what tends to be your most successful one to reach to potential buyers and people that are already clients?
This is great. So you guys are all out there using different platforms, using different services. And I think what everyone's afraid of is when you hear, open a ticket with our support team, right? It gets, oh man, I'm going to wait for 4 days and maybe they'll answer me, maybe they won't. So CallTools is different. We do have an open phone line where you can call in directly to our support team between the hours of 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific, or 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, and get a live person on the phone that knows everything about the platform that can support you. Now, we do have support tickets, right? But here's where we're different. So you'll send in either your email to support@calltools.com. You will either go to the ticket form on our platform. And when that happens, our team has to give you a phone call, right? We're very heavily phone-based. So essentially, when you send in that support ticket, typically within about 30 to 60 minutes, you'll be receiving a phone call from our team to talk through whatever you need help with. So we always do phone first as our support mechanism. We also have a live chat. That's the only channel where maybe we won't jump right to the phone. We'll try and help you via live chat as much as we can. And we also have a integrations department. So if you're looking to integrate, whether it be Salesforce, HubSpot, your CRM, Google Sheets, whatever platform you're looking to integrate with our platform, you can send an email to integrations@calltools.com. And that's at no additional charge, consulting or hourly fees or payments. That's included with you just being a customer of CallTools. So we'll go as far as to build the whole integration for you, or to just answer questions you have about our integration capabilities.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a lot of tools all in one. You guys have great support. You guys have a great call quality, right?
Yeah.
That's good. So for example, if I'm a small business, I'm looking to try out CallTools, what does the pricing look like?
Sure. It's incredible. There are different options that we would discuss with you, when you come to our website and call in. What I will share is that's very unique in our space is we do not charge for minutes for local area code phone numbers, right? So a lot of platforms out there will have a similar, per agent cost to what we have, only they'll charge usage in minutes on top of that. So you'll go in at the beginning of the month thinking your bill is going to look one way, and it looks much different, and maybe it's even double by the end of the month. So I encourage you to reach out. and we'll be able to share that pricing info with you. Like I said, there are a couple options depending upon, what it is you're looking to do.
Awesome. And when it comes to the KPIs, what KPIs should your ideal customer use to evaluate success with yourself for this use case, and what quantifiable outcomes can they expect?
Perfect. Great question. And it's probably one of my favorites. This is how you really can scale your operation in your business, right? So in our platform, I mentioned earlier, we do cover a lot of the agent metrics. So how long your agent's spending, making sure they're being productive and using their time efficiently and properly during their shift when they're using the platform. We keep track of every call disposition on an agent campaign list level. So you can always go back and say, okay, this list I uploaded last week, we've had this many wrong number dispositions, let's say. So why is there so many wrong numbers on here? Let me go back to my vendor and see what's going on. We also calculate in real time your connection rate. So we'll look at the outbound dials that are happening through the platform, the ones that actually connect to your agent, and we'll give you what your connection rate is. And you could do that across different lists or different campaigns to see, okay, why is this list connecting at 20% where this list is connecting at 3%, right? Something's not quite right here. And we also give you'll mark which call disposition in your system, or it could be multiple, that are your goal or your winning call disposition. We call them goals. So as you accumulate goals, now we're able to calculate in real time your conversion rates, right? So Dave took, 30 phone calls. He had 10 conversions or 10 appointments set. He's at 30%, 33% conversion rate, right? So we really try and make it easy for you to see the data that you need right within our platform. That being said, our API is super robust, so you can pull out any of our data to any third party, like a Google Data Studio, Power BI, Tableau, whatever database you want to pull it to do some more advanced data analytics. And we also have a lot of different endpoints where you can export CSV files of data. So we make accessing the data super easy, and we've tried to really streamline just those performance reports that are going to show you in real time what's going on so you can make adjustments to your campaign.
Awesome. Well, I think that was a great session, Chaz. I feel like we covered multiple points. For me, I wish I had this tool back when I was in the call center. Oh, I would have definitely been a top performer, right? Because I feel like this tool, it doesn't help you. It wouldn't only help you measure what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, but also give me the ability to self-discover on how I can improve myself before it gets to the manager.
Of course. And you know what? When you're doing outbound, whether it be for sales, appointment setting, follow-up, whatever the reason is, you want to maximize the time that you're speaking with real people, right? Yeah. So we have a lot of customers that are so thrilled with our platform because they'll be doing manual dialing, or they'll be using a dialer that maybe doesn't connect so great. And they'd be like, yeah, I speak with a live person, maybe 2 times an hour. Whereas with our platform, we've got some people that are connecting to a live person every 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. They're connecting to a live person. It's on the phone, ready to talk, so it's incredible. That's incredible technology.
Absolutely. No. And one of the last things I wanted to ask you, and this one is personally. So I listened to a podcast, right? And the podcast said, when a solid conversation is when you speak 55% and the buyer speaks 45%. What comes to mind when you hear that?
That goes into sales psychology. There's a lot of different things out there that will point in different directions. The way I always looked at it is let the customer talk. Let them tell you what's going on. Let them voice to you what it is, what objections they're trying to overcome, and then ask them a very targeted and specific questions. Why are you uniquely qualified to solve their problem? Right. So a lot of the times, and again, this is more generalized outside of the CallTools platform, but you want to understand, where did this person come from? What were they doing previously? What are they doing today? Right. So what's your current process and procedure? What would you like to be doing? And what does a winning outcome and KPI look like for you? And once you can identify those 3 things, then you come in as the, uniquely qualified, partner. Hey, well, this is how my platform is going to, or my solution or my product is going to solve that problem for you and take you to that number 3, which is where you want to be and what your future goals and aspirations are. So,
no, that's a good point, Chaz, because what if that conversation, when you were there 55% and he responded 45%, what if the customer was confused and that was the reason of the back and forth?
That's right.
So
That's right. And you want to stay away from like throwing features at people, because at a certain point, it's just that, you're just talking, and just saying, oh, well, I got this feature, this, that. I'm sure if you wanted me to go through features on CallTools, I could sit here for 3 days and go through every menu, every feature, Hey, what's important to you, right? What do you want to understand about the platform? What are you trying to solve? And this is the quickest way and the best configuration. I'm using CallTools as the context here to get that done. So.
No, you mentioned a very important topic, because one of the things that I read is that 56% of B2B executives are not happy with the tools they're buying because it became a feature war.
Right? Oh yeah. So I think again, my specialty now as a chief operating officer here at CallTools is this platform. But behind the scenes, I've worked in numerous different roles, and I've always been involved with the vetting, sourcing, planning which platforms we're going to use. And it's just important to keep it simple. Everyone wants to build that shiny red Ferrari with all the automations and functions and everything. And you know what? You're going to get lost. Just keep it simple. Figure out what it is you want to build. And then, if you add layers to that over time, you're going to look back and, whatever period of time, 3 months, 6 months, a year, wow, I do have a red Ferrari now. But I built it very slow. I put one tire on at a time. And then eventually it got to the point where, it's all working. And I think that's important too. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but measuring and testing, in my previous life, we were making changes so fast. And you really want to look at what's working and what's not working and know how to roll back your changes, right? So in the period of a day, maybe we would try 4 different updates. Let's try this. Let's try calling this list. Let's try this data. Let's, update this automation to do this thing. And out of those 5 things, only one of them was actually giving a positive result. The other 4 were no good. No problem. Scrap it. Start over the next day. Let's try 5 other things. Okay. 2 of those things stuck. 3 of those things stuck. Now, by the end of the week, we've got, 10 different updates that we made that are meaningful, but we've got 30 updates that were no good. So constantly building and testing.
Absolutely. Well, Chaz, I think this was a great session. Anything else that you want to share to the audience? I feel like we covered very important topics, but anything else you'd like to share?
It's an absolute pleasure. I want to invite everybody to check out CallTools, calltools.com. You've actually got my personal number over here in the top right of my background, but if you want to get directed to the team, it's 1-800-679-1637. Again, that's 1-800-679-1637. You can email info@calltools.com as well, just to get in touch with our team. It's an absolute pleasure. David, you've done an incredible job. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to be on the show here and spend some time with you. And I can tell you're very, very well versed in, the technology space and everything that you're sharing. So if anybody is watching this and you have a platform and you want to get on with Dave, I highly encourage you to get on here. And it's incredible. So thank you.
I appreciate it, Chaz. And I like to tell you that you're definitely a rare breed. I haven't seen a lot of people in your role being so energetic, willing to help, being such a good buyer, willing to spend the time to make sure everybody understands it in a very simple way. And I feel like that makes you a rare breed in Earth.
Appreciate that. You really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, listen, I had a lot of pride in our platform and what I do. And anything, that I could do to add value. I hope you guys gained value from this session alone. But, I hope so. And if anything in the future, if you want to reach out, that is my direct line up here in the top of the screen. And we look forward to showing you CallTools. And hopefully, maybe we can make it work for your business as well. I know we can. It's just a matter of us connecting. So
awesome. Well, Chaz, for those that are watching and got this far, if you're looking for a trusted dollar to scale your call center and increase contact rates, you have Chaz and his amazing team ready to support you. I will leave the description on the link below. And thank you guys for another session of the Transformer Sales Podcast. Also for review. Catch you on the next section.
Right on. Thank you, everybody.